Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Coach Kyle Evans coming to you today from Houston, Texas, getting to hang out at Keller Williams Memorial for the kickoff of Bold Houston for the summer. And before that begins, before we get to go hang out with 112 of our closest friends, I get to hang out with you. We get to make sure that our daily checkup from the neck up is on point, guys. Welcome to Grow. Let's dive in because we ain't got a ton of time today. This week, we've been focusing on EQ, right? Sales EQ. What does that emotional intelligence look like? Yesterday, we talked about answering too soon, right? Rushing things. Today, we're going to continue on this thought process with reading the room. So I'm calling this read the room, rule the room, right? How do we get emotional pacing in sales? Here's the thing that I want you to kind of mull over and think about. Most salespeople try to control the script, right? We've heard it a bajillion times. Work on your scraps, work on what you're saying, work on how you're saying it. Is that important? Absolutely. Yet, most salespeople try to control the script, but the elite, they control the state. They control the emotional state of the consumer, of the client, of the customer. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, remember, people do not buy based on logic. More often than not, they buy based on their emotional environment. And if you've been in this business or in sales for any amount of time, you understand that the emotional environment shifts second by second sometimes. There are trigger words, trigger things that we do and say that can absolutely shift the energy. So we have to constantly be paying attention, slowing down, and watching what the emotional state is. Here's the problem, myself included. I found myself doing this as well. We try to drag buyers forward without noticing the state that they're in. If you are a high I, a high D, someone who's just going with an agenda, you probably fall in this trap. Newsflash, most real estate agents, most people in sales fall into high I's and high D's. The problem with that is the majority of the population, I think roughly 65, 66%, fall into the SC category on the disc. We've got to stop talking to the client like they're us and talking to them like they are them, right? We're not supposed to push urgency when the buyer is overwhelmed. We're not supposed to sell hope when someone is stuck in fear. We need to stop speeding up as the buyer's pulling away. What happens when we do that? We lose the room, we lose the sale, we lose the referral, we lose the review, we lose the forever client. If you ignore the state of your customer, if you ignore the state of your consumer, you will never influence their story. And if you don't influence their story, if you don't show up as the guide to help them to get what they desire, you're never going to grow a huge business or a huge career or those gladiators out in the field fighting for you. The reality is this: every single buyer has an emotional speed. Every single buyer. If you've ever been to Louisiana before, I hope you haven't. It's not that cool. I can say that. It rains a lot, right? Especially during hurricane season. And there are these things called wet roads. And Lord have mercy if people don't lose their mind driving on a road just because a little water hits. Why? Because they lose control, because they wreck. If you don't match the conditions of the weather, of the environment, driving on a wet road, you crash the car. Take that to the buyer, take that to the consumer. If you don't match the environment, the emotional speed, you're going to crash the sale. Slow down when they're cautious. Stay calm when they're defensive. Lift energy if they're drifting. Hold tension. They're almost there. It's not manipulation, it's emotional pacing. It's meeting them where they are and guiding them to where they need to be. That's all that we are. We are decision architects. We are helping people get off the fence. And to do that, we've got to match them to show them. When we're seeing this with buyers, especially nowadays, I think that they typically fall into about four different states. Obviously, there's a bunch out there. For the sake of this, for the sake of eating the elephant and honing it down, I'm going to call it four states. Number one, the first state that I came up with is the skeptical buyer, right? We've seen the skeptical buyer. It's usually the first time buyer's dad, right? If we're, if we're being honest, the emotion there is usually doubt, it's distrust, right? Common phrases that you'll hear is, oh, I've heard that before, or what's the catch? They don't believe. When we come up to that buyer, our pace should be calm, grounded, reassuring. Things that you can think about doing, speaking slower, lowering your voice, using phrases like totally fair, totally fair. Hey, that's smart to ask. Most people feel the same way at first. Remember, for our skeptical buyers, tonality is key. So we talked about lowering our voice, but I want to make sure that you are downswinging on the end of your statements. Downswinging on the end of your statements. This elicits trust. When you upswing, when you have upward inflection, what I call question tone at the end of a statement, it makes the person feel even more distrust. It makes them feel like it's a lie. If you have a skeptical buyer, this is not where you oversell. Heck, you're never supposed to oversell, but especially for them, it's not where you oversell. This is where we create certainty through either data, case studies, client stories, maybe a calm repetition of facts going back to certain things that are true. That's how we can start to meet that skeptical buyer in their emotional state, meet them there and guide them out of it. The next buyer that I see a lot is the overthinker. Some of you are out there like, that's me always. I get it. There's a lot of you out there. That's okay. The emotion that the overthinker is usually feeling is analysis paralysis. Come on, somebody. If you heard it once, you've heard it a million times. Analysis paralysis. The common phrase there is, I just need more time to think. I just need more time to think. So many decisions. When you come across this, your pace should be steady, focused, clarifying. Steady, focused, and clarifying. Your goal is to remove the complexity. One of the ways that you can do that and help them stay grounded and focused on the target is you can ask micro yes questions to bring them back down. Hey, can I simplify this into two main options for you? Based on what you shared, I think you're here. Based on what you've shared, I think you're here. Can I show you how to take the next step that aligns with where you're at? Can I show you how to take the next step that aligns with where you're at? The answer is going to be yes. Overthinkers, they need simplicity. They need containment. They've got too much info going on, so they shut down. So your job is to meet them where they are and contain the frame. Keep the frame narrow. Keep the most important things in check, in alignment. Don't let them squirrel off into the distance. The next one, number 3. This one's a jammer. The emotionally charged buyer, right? They might be feeling frustration, fear, overwhelm. It's just a lot. It just feels like too much right now. When you're feeling that, you're not matching them there, but you're hitting them with a pace that's soft, spacious, reflective. I want you to mirror and hold. This is probably where we're going to be pausing longer between sentences, letting it breathe a little bit, letting things calm down, letting things slow down. Maybe we're asking emotionally intelligent questions. Hey, listen, what feels heavy right now? What are you hoping this solves for you? I've got to ask you, is this fear of change or is it something else? The power move is to use emotional validation. Hey, I hear that. Most people in your shoes, they feel the same pressure. The difference is they decided to move with it instead of away from it. Hey, listen, I hear that. Most people in your shoes, they feel the same pressure. The difference is they decided to move with it instead of away from it. Number four, moving right along here, the ready buyer. The ready buyer. Oh, Kyle, this is our favorite. Yes, it is, boo. Yes, it is. They're excited. They're in momentum. They have belief. They're ready to rock. I've been looking for something like this. That's what you're going to hear them say. Your pace is matching that. We are bold, and here's the key word, we are decisive. We're decisive, and we're leading them. Speed up, ride the energy. Use fast action framing like, hey, let's lock that in while you're clear. Here's how we can get started right now. Here's how we can get started right away. Key thing to remember here, avoid over talking. Avoid over talking. Can you talk people into a sale? Yes. Can you talk people out of a sale? Yes. This is a problem here for those high eyes on the disc, those social butterflies. This is where most reps unfortunately choke. They keep pitching and pitching and pitching instead of closing. Can't close the dadgum door. Close it. Close it. Sign here, press hard. Most agents are afraid to close, and that's where they get in trouble, even though they have a buyer who is ready to rock. Their energy is ready to go, and you're still working on a pitch. Sign them. Bringing this all together, guys, let's talk about how pacing equals power, and then I'll set you on your way this Wednesday morning. Pacing can be one of the top emotional or the top signs of emotional intelligence. Pacing tells your buyer, I'm listening. Pacing definitely tells the consumer, I'm not panicking. That's a big one, especially for those emotionally charged buyers. Pacing also tells people, hey, listen, I'm reading your temperature and I'm adjusting accordingly. What I want you to understand with all of this, with the EQ and the buyer and this whole series that we're going to be diving into this week, is we have to be paying attention, not just to ourselves, but to the consumer. This is one of the reasons I tell you guys to study your consultations, study your data, study what to say and how to say it. Because if you're overthinking that, you don't have the bandwidth to pay close attention to what's happening in the room, the temperature, the mannerisms, the cues, the tonality, the pacing, the body language of the buyer. You're missing signs because you're too much in your head about your listing presentation instead of having it internalized, and you're able to just be where your feet are in the moment. Before you drop content, I want you to always check in with the emotional tone of the room. Ask yourself, where are they at emotionally right now? Where are they at emotionally right now? Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I am a married man, happily married man, because my wife is way out of my league. Lucky fellow. And if you think that I don't have to check in on the emotional environment of the room before my high D self just starts jabbering about things, come on now. Mm-mm, mm-mm. Check the room. Pay attention. Always check with the emotional tone before content. The next one is mirror and move. You want to match the pace, match the energy, match the tone, then lead them into a new emotional space. Match them, then lead them. Match them, then lead them. Number 3 here, I want you to use silence to gauge readiness. Silence isn't rejection, it is processing. This is something, you've heard this before, I'll tell you again, I struggle with a lot, still to this day. I'm continually working on it. Shocker, Kyle's a work in progress. Shh, shut your mouth. Silence isn't rejecting. Sometimes the other person just needs to process the information that you gave them. Almost like, I don't know, ladies and gentlemen, it's a big decision that they're making. Let the silence do its thing. Use it as a gauge. Guys, a lot of times the best salespeople, it's not just strategy, it's sensitivity. You can't lead people unless you're willing to feel where they are first. You can't move someone forward unless you've learned to walk at their pace, even for a moment. The best salespeople don't bulldoze their way to a close. They listen, adjust, align, and lead with EQ, with emotional intelligence. When you read the room, you rule the room, baby. Let's get it. This is our call today. I want you to bring self-awareness. Practice today on the phone. What is the emotional tone of this person? What is the emotional temperature when you're going into a call? If you're going into a consultation today, check the emotional environment of the room before you start blabbing. Mirror and match them. If you're meeting with the buyer, remember, gauge them on this. Are they a skeptical buyer? Are they an overthinker? Are they emotionally charged? Or are they a ready buyer? Your pace will determine the result of that interaction. It's up to us. No one's coming to save us. If we want to move from being a real estate agent to a real estate professional, the devil is in the details. What are we working on today? Are we okay with another year of average? Are we okay with another year of just enough? Or do we want more? And are we willing to do what it takes to get it? Everybody wants something. Are you willing to do the work that's necessary to get there? Everybody wants the prize. No one wants to pay the price. Today, we pay the price. Today, we do the reps. Today, we bring focus to our craft. If you can't tell, I'm pumped up, man. I'm ready to come pour into these people in Houston, Texas. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I will see you bright and early tomorrow. I trust this was helpful. We will continue to work on our emotional intelligence the rest of the week. Go tell somebody, invite somebody, and I'll see you tomorrow morning. Love you, mean it.